Laura Croft is one of the best platformers in adventure. She's one of the best adventurers in gaming. Let's just say that. Laura Croft is one of the best adventurers in gaming, man. These games, the first early Tomb Raider games, were the best games to just explore in. As far for real, I'm not gonna lie. Like this game, that game was better than the first Grand Theft Auto. The first Grand Theft Auto had an open world, but Tomb Raider had levels, but those levels were vast. These levels were massive levels. And they ain't have you just those levels weren't just linear. I'm finna tell you what to do, walk you through here. I'm gonna grab your hand and walk you down here. Those levels weren't those type of levels. The Tomb Raider series was unique at the time for having huge levels. These levels were not that it was an open world game, but the levels themselves were you can explore the whole level at your own pace. And they had a lot of traps the traps weren't again like you couldn't what I'm like the path wasn't linear. Yes, you had a direction you should take, but you can approach that in like at different angles. I would say the traps you had to complete them a certain way, but you can approach them at your own angle, or you could get everybody would get there different. You would get to the trap different. This was the beauty of the exploration of Laura Croft. I mean, of those Tomb Raider games. Like Laura Croft is one of the greatest explorers in video gaming, like are in adventurers in video gaming. Laura Croft is the first time you seen somebody taking out a tiger or animal or big wild animal with some pistols. She was the first, like she was isolated. Like you felt the isolation of Laura Croft in those levels. You felt like she was just an explorer placed in a big level. Like she was actually somewhere to where you that seemed like a far off dangerous place, or a far off un uncharted place, a place that's, and again that brings me to, and I'm sorry Nathan Drake, you have nothing against Laura Croft, man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like Nathan Drake is cool and all that. And I like the platforming of those levels. He's a great adventurer. You know, you see the way that he traverses through the levels and how he avoids traps. I like all that. That's exciting, but that's along more of the lines of the new Tomb Raider as well. Like the new Laura Croft does those same things, but in those games aren't as open as an open world and open ended level. They don't have as big open levels as they seem, even though they're better graphics. The levels are more linear, like they're walking. There's more timed events. They're walking you through that. Like in this, you see Laura Croft and Nathan Drake now moving like Jackie Chan. They like, and what do I mean by that? Like they're avoiding traps. They by doing using the environment antics and stuff, and it's all in pretty much time based movements and it's linear. It's walking you down that and scripted events. They didn't have a lot of that in the first Tomb Raider games, and in the beginning, see that's because they had a developer switch. In the beginning, Tomb Raider was initially Core Design, a subsidiary of Eidos Entertainment, created Laura Croft, the lead protagonist of the video game Tomb Raider, and this was in 1993. The lead graphic artist Toby Gore went through about 5 designs before arriving at the character's final appearance. He initially envisioned a male lead character with a whip and a hat. Of course, that's like Indiana Jones. But he noticed while watching people play the game Virtua Fighter that players selected one of 2 available female characters in the game on almost every match he saw. So he saw that people wouldn't mind playing as women characters. Guard expressed the desire to counter stereotypical female characters in the game, which he characterized as bimbos or dominatrix types. And he was skeptical of a female lead at first because a few contemporary games featured them. Like people didn't. These were Laura Croft was unique to her time. Like you didn't have a lot of female leads in games doing basically like doing male things, like not being the damsel in distress. Laura Croft was not that. And she wasn't, but she wasn't woke. You know, that's the thing now. Like she wasn't woke at first. Now they're trying to make Laura Croft more and more woke. But she was already a great character. Inspired by pop artist Nina Cherry and comic book character Tank Girl, Guard experimented with different designs. So he used the pop artist Nina Cherry and then the character Tank Girl. This is where the design and the inspiration for Laura Croft comes from. And God was keen to animate the character realistically. This is what I loved about the first Tomb Raider games, that he animated the character realistically, an aspect he felt in the industry that at the time had disregarded. They didn't have the characters moving like Laura Croft, and they don't. I mean, like realistically, and they don't do that today. Look at fighting games. Look at games like Mortal Kombat. Those characters aren't moving realistically. Like they have the moves or like kicks and stuff. Yes, they may have people doing that, so they like the movements themselves look real, but they're not moving realistically. What do I mean? Like you can't juggle somebody in the air, jump up and hit them 15 times, then they fall, you hit them 15 more times. Like you can't move like that. Humans don't. The Laura Croft, the first Tomb Raider games, go play those. People found them. Like I loved the way that she controlled, because she controlled very realistically. Do you understand? Though it said he sacrificed quick animations in favor of more fluid movement, believing that players would empathize with the character more easily. And I agree with Guard. That happened, and that was true. And he executed that perfectly. What we have after the first, you had Tomb Raider 2, Tomb Raider 3, then you had Tomb Raider The Last Revelation, you had Tomb Raider Chronicles, Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, Tomb Raider Legend, Tomb Raider Anniversary, Tomb Raider Underworld, then Tomb Raider the reboot that came out in 2013, Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. These are all of the complete list of the Tomb Raider games that have been released. And the voice actress has changed. You had Shelley Blonde, who was the initial voice actress of Laura Croft, and the British voice and her. I liked Shelley. I liked the beginning voice actresses for Laura Croft. They were great, and they did what they're supposed to do. But Laura Croft has evolved, or some may say became or woke at this point. They killed, like the developers they made so many games. By the time of they got to The Last Revelation, the staff was exhausted, and they had just basically wanted to be done with the whole series, and they ended up killing Laura Croft off by having her trapped in a cave during the final scenes of the game. Now that's her true fate, but we all know that they rebooted the character in 2013, and this was the second reboot. This one is where they became woke. And this is where everything like took a drastic change. And they basically, and Tomb Raider basically became like any other character. When the first game came out, Tomb Raider was unique. Like Laura Croft was unique. She was unique in her gaming and her adventuring for all the way up into the reboot that I named, Tomb Raider Legend. And then they came out with the Tomb Raider Anniversary and Underworld. That was at the end of the Tomb Raider as we know it. now, like I said, the game Crystal Dynamics sought to avoid the embellished physique of past renditions and push for more realistic proportions of Laura Croft. Like, what? First of all, they've already done that. You know, women have big bosoms. You know, that's fine. They act like, oh, we just can't have that. So they just had to change Laura Croft around. In redesigning the character's appearance, the designs began with simple concept and added features that it felt made Laura Croft iconic. A ponytail, oh no, M-shaped lips, come on now, and the spatial relationships between her eyes, mouth, and nose. The company also changed the character's wardrobe, focusing on what it believed was more functional and practical. In designing the outfit, staff aimed to create a look that was more relevant and youthful, but not too trendy or hip. To gauge the redesign, Crystal Dynamics conducted eye tracking studies on subjects who viewed the new version and previous ones. Come on, man. Like you failed. Like this is not Laura Croft. This is Laura Oft. And similar to Underworld, a new Tomb Raider features motion capture based animation. In an effort to present realism and emotion to the character, Crystal Dynamics captured face and voice performances to accompany the body performances. It still doesn't matter when the way that the game is designed, the level design, the way that you do, it's not set up for the type of exploration that the first games had. You're walking people through it too much. The Laura Croft's killing everybody. Like she's like Nathan Drake, like I said, slash Jackie Chan. She's pulling off everything in that first game. In those beginning in the beginning Tomb Raiders, when you didn't have game facts, you didn't have YouTube to walk you through that. That Laura Croft, man, you had to actually explore. That Laura Croft, you died many times. You understand? Now you can die many times here through failing quick time events. But no, in the beginning Laura Croft games, you had to be a master explorer and put some respect on that Laura Croft's name because she's dead. That Laura Croft was trapped in a cave. This Laura Croft here, this is Laura Oft, you know, and the new Laura, like I don't like the new Tomb Raider games. To me, they're too much like everything else. You know, this is just, you can just call this something else. But salute and RIP to the real Laura Croft, one of the best, if not the best, adventurer in gaming. So with that being said, this is the Cool Club. I am the Glitch Trap. Bong, bong, bong. I'm gone.